We continue on the Common Sense Club and the Scott Hannon program. You know, I don't know how many times over the years we've had Candy Crowley from CNN on, but she is, don't tell John King, but she's one of our favorite ever CNN correspondents to have on the program, and she's in Charlotte, North Carolina, so we're checking in with her. Hey, Candy, nice to have you back. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really good because guess what? It's the last day of 2 back-to-back conventions. So we all got out of bed thinking, oh, this almost feels like adrenaline. We can kind of see the end game here.
Yeah, you must be sleep deprived because it's afternoon too. So you know you're probably morning for you, but it's a grind. It's a grind, isn't it? Covering these conventions. It's the first time I've not attended one since '96. We had a bunch of stuff going on. Adding some radio stations to our family, so I was tied up with business, so I didn't make it down there. But it's a grind, right?
It is, but I'm curious if you miss it.
No, not one bit, not at all. And I think, quite honestly,
I sometimes feel like I would. If we get here and we complain, and people step on your feet on the floor, and it's long hours, and it's sort of endless speeches, and yet I think I wonder if I'd miss it if I didn't come.
Here's my take on that. You have to be there. You're the chief political correspondent for CNN. You're the anchor of State of the Union. I get it. I'm a radio talk show. So what I'm trying to do is get a sense of how this is playing with people that actually are going to vote. And I think there's a disconnect between who's in that hall and ultimately who's being persuaded. And the Republicans and the Democrats do that. I mean, the Romney folks really were all about let's be nice here because we want to talk about folks that previously were Obama voters and we need them now, 4 to 7%. I mean, that's who their message was. So it's easier for me to sit there and try and parse everything from that perspective out of there rather than sort of getting caught up in the hoopla. And of course, the Democrats are trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do, throw God under the bus, Israel under the bus, tell us Bill Clinton and Barack Obama are one and the same, which is red meat and clearly loved by everybody there, but I think probably not getting them votes where they need them. What's your take on that?
First of all, you're exactly right, because if you are inside an arena that reverberates whenever the sound hits the ceiling and comes back down on you, and it is filled with 15,000 people screaming and waving signs, it necessarily corrupts your vision of how the speech is going over to the vastly, larger numbers of people that are watching it on TV. So, to me, you always have to keep that in mind, and you say, hey, it's played well in the hall, but if it didn't play well in the hall, they'd be in real trouble. So, and again, that was for Republicans and Democrats. I think what the Democrats have tried to do here, and even in the signage, I don't know if you've noticed, every other word is middle class. The speeches are peppered with, middle class. I don't know if you heard Elizabeth Warren last night. She talked about, this is about the middle class, and the system's been rigged against them. So this is definitely aimed at, most voters think they are middle class. Unless you're very rich or very poor, that's how voters describe themselves. So it's a vast group of people, and that is their main target. They've been seamless in the sense of sometimes, all the time in these conventions, they'll say, okay, today we're looking at this, and tomorrow our theme will be this. For the Democrats, for 3 straight days, it's been pounding home, we're for the middle class, and Mitt Romney is a rich guy, and he doesn't understand you.
And here's my take on that. I think, and I see the signs too. I saw them all. I get exactly what you're talking about. It's a message you're trying. I see that, and I think, I don't discriminate against Mitt Romney, who's had some success, versus somebody that sweeps floors for a living and would be considered amongst the nation's poor. It offends me to sit there and try and segregate us. I get that's how they get votes. I mean, that's the crowd they're playing to. But again, I don't know. I don't know that 4 to 7% of people, a majority of whom were probably Obama folks last time, that just don't know if they're going to go there this time, if that persuades them. I mean, and that's clearly what they're trying to do, and Bill Clinton was a big part of that. Let's play the Clinton clip here and get Candy's take on one of the key lines from Clinton's speech about what Obama's job was in his first 4 years. Roll that clip about Obama and the 4 years of, the 4 years. Go ahead and roll that one.
Listen to me now. No president, not me, not any of my predecessors, no one could have fully repaired all the damage that he found in just 4 years.
This is an interesting sell point. Everybody loved it. By the way, Ronald Reagan did it. Ronald Reagan, by many accounts, when you look at the misery index and inflation and interest rates, inherited a bigger mess and turned it around in short time. So I think it's a little bit of amnesia for Bill Clinton to say nobody could have cleaned up the mess. But is that going to get them crawling on broken glass to say, well, our guy didn't fix things, but nobody could?
Again, it's so hard to know. So nothing has moved this race. In the last 4 months, we've seen a dead heat race, and nothing has changed it so far. So I'm skeptical that anything's going to change it after both these elections are done. Both these conventions are done. But I'll tell you what, to me, how that particular, those couple sentences hit me while I was listening. And that was that we remember the interview that the president gave when he said, I'll tell you what, if I don't turn this economy around, we're looking at a one-term proposition. I think this was Bill Clinton's way of kind of moving that goalpost. Nobody could have done that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He made progress, but so it was kind of even me and you associate me with great times, et cetera. Even I couldn't have done this. So I think it was over and above the fact checking, which is went on last night and all that kind of stuff. You still have the intent of that, and I think it was to move the goalposts for those out there saying he didn't do this.
Only 90 seconds left and 3 quick lightning round topics to go with you. God out of the platform, in the platform, and the voice vote debacle is getting a lot of attention, again, outside of there. Is that a bigger story than we're being led to believe? It hasn't, New York Times pretty much ignored it. I mean, Paul Begala was critical of it on CNN, and so CNN has covered it, Fox, obviously. But is this a bigger story overall than it's being reported on by media?
I certainly think that it adds to the story as critics of the administration. I know Politico, I believe, has a story out that actually the administration did know what was in this. I mean, because what we've been told is, he didn't know, and the minute he saw this, meaning President Obama didn't know, and the minute he saw this, he got it corrected and said, why in the world would they take God out of this? I think it was some sort of God-given talent. I think that was, you have to want to take that out, because that's not a natural edit. And so I think for those who are looking at this from the outside in and who are not Obama fans or who may be on the fence, they are seeing in some ways a party that really is trying so hard to prove its inclusiveness that they trip over themselves.
Yeah, very good analysis, as always. I wish I had more time for Candy Crowley. You have to watch State of the Union to get the rest of the analysis. Sunday we will. Thanks, Candy. Candy Crowley, CNN.